And welcome inside the D Event Center for high school rewinds coverage of the 2015 5A Boys State Championship Basketball Tournament. I am Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us. Our quarterfinal matchup, the Viewmont Vikings and the Lone Peak Knights. Welcome, everybody. So glad to have you along with us. Got a rematch from the regular season between Viewmont and Lone Peak. It was a Lone Peak win at Viewmont earlier in the year, and looking to get their second win, which will propel the Knights to the semifinals, looking for their 5th consecutive state championship. We'll start first with Viewmont. First round win, played very, very well. Austin Johnson led the way, and he's going to have to play well again today offensively for the Vikings going against Lone Peak. It was a close game in that first one. He's going to have to make up the difference offensively and have guys come around and help him. For Lone Peak, as Frank Jackson goes, the Knights go, but also Christian Papula, the way he starts the game really dictates a lot of things that happens for Lone Peak. So if he can get out and go going well, it'll help open up the floor for Frank Jackson and what he does, and could be a long night for Viewmont if they do not contain Frank Jackson. We know our teams and a couple of players to look out for and a couple of keys. We come back, it'll be opening tip-off. You are watching High School Rewind's coverage of the 2015 5A Boys State Championship Basketball Tournament on live.ksl.com, DeseretNews.com, and anytime on Xfinity On Demand.
Viewmont fans, Lone Peak fans, are you ready for basketball? In the jump circle, Austin Johnson and Frank Jackson.
Austin Johnson and Frank Jackson, our two open players, will jump it up to start this game, and the tip will be controlled by the Viewmont Vikings. Up the floor, here's Johnson. Sitting around near side. Back up top. Shot on the way and off the mark from Jake Walker. Now on the push of Christian Papula. Papula down the lane, float it up and score it.
15-51 is Christian Papula.
When Papula gets going in the drive game, it really opens things up for the rest of the offense for the Knights. Jamison Smith up top with Eldridge. Here's Walker. Walker sending out Eldridge into the corners. Smith, that ball stolen by Doman. Now on the push with Frank Jackson and the Knights. 3 on the way from Papula. And Christian Papula knocks down the triple. And he's got the first 5 points of the ball game. Austin Johnson can't finish. Rebound claimed by Doman. Doman give it up to Jackson. Jackson, a deep 3, back rim. Tipped out by Johnson, now loose and picked up by Curtis. Curtis had an outstanding first round game against Copper Hills. There's a travel on Papula on the drive. And we'll go the way with the Vikings. Here's Eldridge. Now up top with Johnson. Pulls for 3, front rim, gets his own board. Leaves it down low. Walton couldn't handle it. And saved in by Heaton. Quickly ahead, here's Papula. Transition 3. That goes in and out. Rebound to Walker. Here's Eldridge in the front court. Up top now, Walker. In the corner, Walton. Skip to Eldridge. Kicks in the corner to Smith. Drop along. Walton leaves it for Johnson. Johnson can't finish at the rim. And the rebound cleared by Doman. Frank Jackson along the baseline sends out Papula. Papula off the glass and in.
51, Christian Papula for Lone Peak.
South Papula 7, Viewmont 0. A nice start for Papula. Out of bounds, will stay with the Vikings.
For the Vikings, number 30, Josh Richards, and number 22, Cole Hewish.
Smith and Eldridge will get an early rest. As now Josh Richards on the floor with Cole Hewish. Walton, plenty of room. Doman nearly slapped that one away. Hewish out top to Richards. Walker, now Johnson. Richin gives it up to Johnson, front rimmed on the three. Now on the push with Papula. Papula again. This one loses the handle, and they call it out of bounds off of Viewmont. Outside Heaton in the corner to Curtis, and Curtis fouled on the three. That goes against Austin Johnson. It'll be 3 free throws for Nick Curtis.
Austin Johnson, the first Viking team foul.
Curtis hits the first.
At the line for one more, Nick Curtis.
Has another.
It's a 3-point attempt.
Back rim, the third. Back up the floor with Viewmont. 3 on the way, off the mark. Rebound to Johnson. Johnson, foul by Heaton, +1. And Austin Johnson gets Viewmont on the board and go to line looking for the 3-point play.
Number 30, Dylan Heaton, the first Lone Peak team foul.
And the +1 rolls off. 9-2 the lead for the Knights. Here's Papula. Doman over to Frank Jackson. Jackson working on Richards, drives the baseline, floated up and score it. No, wipe off the bucket. Charge on Frank Jackson.
Charge to number 15, Frank Jackson, his second team foul. In for Lone Peak, number 3, Talmadge Gunther.
Gunther comes on the floor, and Heaton will go to the bench. Walker outside to Richards. Hadlock back up top to Walker. And he'll reset the offense for Coach Emery. Hewish steps into a long-range 3 off the mark. And Jackson battling for the board off of Hadlock. And we'll go the other way with the Knights. Timeout taken by the Viewmont Vikings. 30-second timeout. Give us time to remind you to follow us on Twitter at HS Rewind. We'll be tweeting out the top 5 plays from today's coverage. Got 4 games on tap today. You can see our top 5 plays from the first round of 5A tournament. Also the top 5 plays from the 4A yesterday. Had an exciting day. High School Rewind. You can find us anytime on Xfinity On Demand. We've teamed up with Deseret News for the 4A and 5A Boys State Championship Basketball Tournament. And all 30 games will be available on live.ksl.com, as well as abbreviated format, which is High School Rewind, on Xfinity. Up the floor with Jackson. Hands off Papula. Dolman inside to Curtis. Curtis is fouled. They go back to the line. This one go on Richards, and there'll be 2 free throws for Curtis.
Charge to number 30, Josh Richards, his second Viewmont team foul at the line, number 44, Braden Brown. Nick Curtis.
And the first good from Curtis. Got the first and hits the second. 9-point lead for Lone Peak. High post. Hadlock kicks up to Richens. Back to Hadlock. Leaves along the baseline to Hewish. Couldn't get it to go. Rebound taken by Doman. Ahead now Papula. Papula. Crossover loses the handle. And a timeout taken by Coach Lewis. 30-second timeout with 3:04 remaining in the first. Lone Peak 11, Viewmont 2. Choppy start to this game. But hope you're enjoying our coverage here on live.ksl.com or on DeseretNews.com. Dusty Litster with you. We're on game number 18 of the week. Game 10 of the 5A tournament. As the teams who played Monday night get the first games on Wednesday afternoon. And of course, we're on the rotation where you get a day in between. But 5A will play back-to-back days on Friday and Saturday. Semifinal Friday and the championship Saturday. Into Jackson, fall away three, front rim, and rebound taken by Austin Johnson. On the push down with Hewish. And that ball picked up by Jackson. Ahead, Papula. Papula around Walker, off the window and can't get it to go. And now a foul on Christian Papula. It'll be his first and the team third.
His first, third night team foul.
Back down the floor with the Viewmont Vikings. Hewish up top to Walker. Walker high post, Tadlock. He'll drive, float it up, and score it.
Number 25 for Viewmont, Max Hadlock.
Post scoring is available against Lone Peak. We have a skilled big man. Porter Hawkins had 28 points in the first round game against Copper Hills. Back rim from Doman. Hadlock tracks down the board and hands off to Walker. Walker into the front court. Hewish drops in Hadlock. Up top, Walker for three. Back rim and a rebound taken by Papula ahead to Jackson. Jackson has that one slapped away, and it'll be 2 free throws. And his second foul, I believe, on Richens.
Charged to number 30, Josh Richens, his second. Third team foul at the line for 2 shots is number 15, Frank Jackson. Back in for Viewmont, number 11, Braden Aldridge.
Jackson missed the first and gets the second. First point of the ball game for Frank Jackson. And it's an 8-point lead for the Knights. High post Tadlock. Send out to Hewish. Up top, Eldridge. Eldridge high post Tadlock. Hangs along the baseline to Johnson. And that ball picked off. No. Back in the hands of Walker. Still loose. Doman kicks it ahead. Hadlock kind of swam to the ball. Gets in the hands of Aldridge. Aldridge inside out to Walker for 3. And Walker buries the triple. We had the mad dash for the ball in the scrum, and it finishes in a 3-point bucket for Walker. And now a 5-point game. Here's Frank Jackson, still yet without a field goal in the first quarter with 1:10 remaining in the opening quarter. Doman up top to Papula. Jackson back to Papula with 59 seconds. Lob up to Jackson. Oh, he goes for the, he had to reverse it, and it's almost a 360 alley-oop there. Thought he was just going to go the reverse, and he spun. It'll be 2 free throws for Frank Jackson. The most impressive dunks of the week have been missed. That one from Jackson. We had a insane lob in the Granger game on Monday that was missed. We had a left-handed dunk yesterday from Bushman Ebet that almost went down. But if Jackson just gone reverse, he probably throws it down. Jackson rolls off the free throw, splits his trip for the second time of the quarter. Johnson outside Eldridge. On the angle with Walker. Yes, Jake Walker. Now up top, Eldridge. Terminates, kicks back up top, Walker for three. Back-to-back possessions, and Walker buries the triple. 25 seconds remaining in the quarter. 13-10. Lone Peak leading Viewmont. Here's Jackson. Doman up top to Curtis. 15 seconds now. 10 seconds with Frank Jackson. Over to Doman. Now down to 5, back to Jackson. 3 on the way, and buried. And that's how the first quarter will end. Frank Jackson buries a 3, and Lone Peak extends their lead at the end of the first. Knights 16, Viewmont 10. You're watching High School Rewind's coverage of the 2015 5A Boys State Championship Basketball Tournament on live.ksl.com, DeseretNews.com, and anytime on Xfinity On Demand.
Exercise recovery. It has what it takes to help you replenish, rehydrate, and rebuild after strenuous exercise. And chocolate milk tastes great too. At Les Schwab Tire Centers, we guarantee our service like we guarantee our tires. Cars, pickups, SUVs, motorhomes. If it takes a tire, Les Schwab's got it. The West's largest selection in stock. At Les Schwab, they want to earn your business. Check out the Deseret News for the best place to read about prep sports online at desnews.com. Deseret News, now you know. Watch a replay of today's event for free online at live.ksl.com. RPT provides friendly patient care and has convenient hours and locations to serve you. RPT accepts most insurance plans and offers same-day scheduling. Second quarter possession arrow to Lone Peak.
Start of the second quarter, and we'll start with the Knights. Christian Papula had 7 points, the first 7 of the game, actually. As he'll drive the lane again, off the window, and good.
Christian Papula.
Again, Papula just a sophomore. He and Frank Jackson will be back next year. 3 on the way from Johnson, and Austin Johnson with 5 points, a slow start. Good to see him get off of that 3, and a 5-point game. Jackson inside the arc and buries a long-range 2.
Frank Jackson for the Knights.
7 points now for Jackson. Here's Hewish along the baseline, opposite side to Johnson. Can't get it to go. And rebound loose, and one, no, called on the floor. And if it's on Jackson, it's his second. The foul will be on Talmadge Gunther. If there's ever a whistle in Jackson's round, someone from Lone Peak needs to throw their hand up. That one goes on Gunther, his first. Into Walker. Up top to Johnson. Johnson thought about 3, couldn't get it off. Hands back to Walker into the corner to Smith. Jameson Smith up top to Johnson, drives the lane, takes the bump, and get him with the charge. That's a tough one. It looked like Johnson tried to avoid the contact, get around Curtis, but it'll be a charge on Johnson, and Hadlock slow to get up for the Vikings.
And for Viewmont, number 11, Braden Aldridge.
And Hadlock having a hard time getting up the floor.
Also in for Viewmont, number 55, James Walton.
So back down the floor with Lone Peak with a 7-point lead. Dolman in the corner, Gunther up top now to Jackson. Back to Dolman. Near side, Papula. Cross court, Gunther. 4-3. And Talmadge Gunther from downtown.
Talmadge Gunther.
Big three-pointer from the starting quarterback of the football team. And a 10-point lead now for the Knights. Eldridge kicks in the corner. Walker. Eldridge now up top with Hewish in the corner to Smith. Eldridge now to Walker. Austin Johnson getting a breather. Here's Smith. Smith will drive on Dolman, send out to Walton. Walton up top, now Eldridge. Had space, wasn't looking for a shot. Now Hewish. High post to Smith. Smith send out to Eldridge. 3 on the way from Walker. Front rim and a rebound taken by Smith. Now Eldridge. Lob up to Walton. Walton off the glass and in.
55, James Walton, the assist to Braden Eldridge for Viewmont.
First points for Walton. Back down the floor with Lone Peak and an 8-point lead. 3 on the way from Curtis. That one rims out. A rebound taken by Jameson Smith. Back down the floor with the Vikings. Eldridge hands back Hewish. Here's Walker. Papula and Jackson out with him. Send over to Eldridge. Eldridge will drive, takes a bump, and a late whistle, and it'll be a foul on Doman. And it'll be 2 free throws coming away. Braden Eldridge.
His first. 5th Lone Peak team foul. At the line for 2 shots is number 11, Braden Eldridge.
First free throw good from Eldridge. And the second good as well. (23-17) the lead for Lone Peak. 4-point spurt here from the Vikings. That ball out of bounds off of Jackson. And we'll go back to Viewmont. Here's Walker. Walker sent out to Eldridge. Viewmont can get within 4 or 3. Eldridge up top now to Walker. 3-2 from Lone Peak. Smith straight away. And Jameson Smith from downtown cuts it to a 3-point game, 23-20. 4:20 remaining in the first half. And we got a foul, and that will go against Jameson Smith.
Foul on number 32, Jameson Smith, his first, 6th Viewmont team foul.
16 foul on Viewmont. We'll have free throws remainder of the half. 5 team fouls on Lone Peak. Lead back to Papula. Papula pulls up and hits. Christian Papula with a strong first half. Young sophomore continues to improve. And a 5-point lead for the Knights. High post to Smith. Drives on Doman. Terminates. Jump hook, crawls off. And the rebound taken by Doman. Quickly ahead now, Papula. Viewmont's done a nice job of limiting Lone Peak's early offense. Talmadge Gunther for 3, leaves it short, and rebound claimed by Walker. Quickly down the floor. We'll actually slow it up with Eldridge. 3:15 remaining in the half. Here's Walker. And he's bumped by Jackson, and Jackson gives away his second foul.
Foul on number 15.
And that's the 16th foul on the Knights.
His second, 16th foul on Lone Peak.
Quickly down the lane, off the window, no. Eldridge couldn't get that one to go, and a rebound taken by Jackson. Jackson on the push ahead to Papula. Papula in the lane, left hand up, crawls off, and a rebound grabbed by Hewish. And Hewish quickly up the floor. He'll hold up, give it up to Walker. Walker will pull for three. Back rim, and a rebound taken by Walton, slapped away by Gunther. And they're going to get a foul on Gunther. Thought he got that clean. It'll be 1-1 free throws for Walton.
Fouls charged to number 3, Talmadge Gunther of Lone Peak. His second. It's the 7th team foul. At the line for the Vikings, number 55, James Walton.
First free throw good from Walton. And hits the second. Back to a three-point game. Viewmont's closed it down to 3 a couple times and hasn't been able to get any closer. Each time, Lone Peak has answered with a run. Doman, give it up to Jackson. Jackson on the dribble, fall away, Jale on the baseline, too strong. Rebound taken by Hewish. Walker back to Eldridge. Eldridge up top, Smith. Sent out Hewish. Hewish for three. Off the mark, and a rebound taken by Gunther. Gunther to Jackson, quick up the floor now with Papula. Papula pulls for three, and Christian Papula in transition buries the long-range tray. And it's back to a 6-point lead for Lone Peaks. 28-22, 14 first-half points for Christian Papula. Jameson Smith drives the lane, floated off the window, no, and a rebound cleared by Nick Curtis. And the trend continues. Viewmont closing it down to 3, and Lone Peak pushing it back up, and we got a foul on Hewish. It'll be 1-1 free throws for Frank Jackson.
Jameson Smith, his second, the 7th team foul. Putting Lone Peak into the bonus at the free throw line for 1-on-1. Number 15 is Frank Jackson.
Jackson at the line has split his free throws today. Front end of 1-on-1 is good.
Now in the game for the Vikings, number 30, Josh Richards.
Now 3 of 5 from the stripe. Got the front end, and front rim's the second. Back down the floor with Eldridge and the Vikings. Johnson getting a good rest heading into the third quarter. Here's Walton. Holding up top, kicks it out to Eldridge. Eldridge will drive. Reverses out, terminates, kicks up top. Hewish drives the lane, can't get it to go. And a rebound cleared by Curtis. Up the floor now with Jackson. Ahead to Papula. And Papula will send it across to Doman. Here's Jackson. Jackson with the left hand, float up, no. Rebound still loose, and then taken by Eldridge. Eldridge on the push with 45 seconds. He'll slow up. And Coach Emery, I think, signaling he wants the final shot of the half. But we'll see. Off the screen, Eldridge leaves along the baseline, and Richens lays it up and in. Nice set for a quick bucket. And it's a 5-point game inside of 30 seconds. Down the floor with Frank Jackson. 20 seconds remaining in the first half. Eldridge out there with him. That ball there picked off by Richens, and it is off of Richens. And we'll stay here with the Knights.
In for Lone Peak, number 30, Dylan Heaton.
Interesting exchange between Tyson Doman and Frank Jackson. Doman telling Jackson to use his head, or to think about what he's doing, he pointing to his head. Now 10 seconds remaining. Up top of Jackson with 5. Doman with 3. 2 seconds. Doman drives, floated up, and it crawls in. Tyson Doman gets the bucket at the horn. And we'll head to the locker room with Lone Peak leading by 7. The Knights 31, Viewmont 24, heading to the halftime break. You're watching High School Rewind's coverage of the 2015 5A Boys State Championship Basketball Tournament on live.ksl.com, desertnews.com, and anytime on Xfinity On Demand. Start of the second half, and we'll start with the Vikings. Up top to Walton. Cross court, Walker hands back to Eldridge. Viewmont trailing by 7. So they can get a little run here to start the second half with the opening possession. Walton kicks out, 3 on the way from Walker, and that's off the mark and rebound. Dual possession, and I'll go with Lone Peak. I'm not sure what the frustration is there. That was a clear jump ball. Down the floor we go with the Knights. Frank Jackson. Up top with Heaton. He gives it up to Curtis now on the angle with Papula. Now Heaton. Here's Jackson, drive, hanging, blocked by Walton. Nice defense. Walton was waiting on the backside for that block. On the push now with Walker. Inside Walton, he'll lay it up and in. Papula pulls for 3, and that crawls off, and the rebound taken by Curtis. Curtis goes up and blocked, but we got a foul. Let's see if that goes on Walton, if it goes on Walker. Walker was trying to slap that away, and I get it on Walton. I'm not sure if the foul was on Walton. He was up. It looked like the slap came from Walker, but it'll put Curtis at the line to shoot 2. And that rattles out. Curtis now 4 of 6 from the stripe. And hits the second. Uncharacteristically, no field goals in the first half for Nick Curtis. He usually lives along the baseline with a mid-range J. Eldridge will drive, send out to Walker. And we got a charge on Eldridge. Been the call of the tournament. In our 18th game of the tournament, we've seen more charges after passes made than any other time I can remember. Covering the state tournament since 2006. And a foul on the floor with Eldridge.
Foul on number 11. Braden Eldridge, his second, the third Viewmont team foul.
As Frank Jackson was trying to come up to the top, Eldridge wouldn't let him go. Papula will inbound. 13th foul on Viewmont. And here's Papula. Out to Jackson, now on the angle with Doman. Doman cross court to Curtis. Fall away Jay, rolls in. Nick Curtis with his first field goal, now with 6 points. Pardon me, 7 points. Quickly down the lane, couldn't get to go, tipped up and in by Austin Johnson. We had 8 players from Viewmont get on the board in the first half. You had the scores from Papula and Jackson, and then 8 get on the board for the Vikings. Papula pulls for 3, and that rolls out, and the rebound taken by Walker. Walker on the push. And now foul by Papula, and that's his second personal.
Number 51, Christian Papula, his second. First Lone Peak team foul.
Up top, Eldridge drives, gives up to Walton along the baseline. Walton working on Curtis, give it up, Eldridge, floated up and in. 4 points now for Eldridge. Down the floor with the Knights. Papula had 14 first half points. Give it up to Jackson. Jackson to Curtis. Power dribble, reverses up with the left hand and in.
44, Nick Curtis, assist from Frank Jackson.
6-point lead, 36-30 for the Knights. Go the half court trap, give it up top. Smith, now Walton. Along the baseline, Johnson, he'll jump it, rolls off and rebound to Walton. We have a foul on the rebound, and that'll go against Lone Peak. That'll be the second team foul.
Foul on number 1 of Lone Peak, Tyson Doman, his second, the second team foul. Into the lineup for Viewmont, number 25, Max Hellman.
Eldridge inbounds to Johnson. Sent out to Eldridge. Back to Johnson in the corner. Pulls for three. And Austin Johnson from downtown. Back to three. Viewmont has got to three a number of times. I believe it's the fourth time now. Closed the deficit to 3 points. And each time, Lone Peak has pushed it back up to round 7. Three on the way. And off the mark from Curtis. Viewmont with a chance to tie or get within one. Eldridge up top to Hadlock. Hadlock will drive. Thought he'd get the foul call, didn't. Nice job by Curtis getting out of the way. Now on the run now with Papula. Papula puts his shoulder down. They should call that on the floor, and they will. That'll be the 14th foul on the Vikings.
Foul number 10, Jake Walker, his first. It's the fourth Viewmont team foul. Lone Peak ball on the baseline.
Doman into Jackson. Fall away along the baseline. Rattled home by Frank Jackson.
For Lone Peak.
Jackson now in double figures. Hadlock sent out to Johnson for three. Austin Johnson from downtown. And it's a 2-point game. Timeout, Coach Lewis. 3:49 remaining in the third quarter. Viewmont on a little bit of a run. Lone Peak 38, Viewmont 36. The first matchup was a high school rewind game of the week. And it was a game that really we thought that Lone Peak had played really, really well. Jackson got into some foul trouble. He fouled out with about, I think it was 3.5 minutes left in the game, and it was a 6-point game. And it was Papula and Curtis that'll pull Lone Peak away, because it looked like Viewmont was going to come back, much like we're seeing here. They hung around and made a little bit of a run, hit a couple threes. And so it gave Viewmont some confidence coming into this game. But they're not wide-eyed going against the Knights. It was a 62-49 win for Lone Peak. We mentioned it was a 6-point game late. And a strong close from Papula. In the front court with Jackson. On the angle with Doman, cross court Papula. Foul on the floor on the drive.
Foul on number 25, Max.
The foul on Hadlock.
His first, the fifth Viking team foul. Returning to the lineup for Viewmont number 55.
And that's 5 team fouls on the Vikings. Jackson into Curtis, now up top Doman. Doman to Jackson. And we got a foul. Let's see if they get that on the shot or if it was on the floor.
Number 10,
Fouls on Walker. And a 2-shot foul for Jackson.
Number 15, Frank Jackson shooting 2 shots.
And Jackson is the first. Got the first, and the second lips out. Rebound to Johnson down the floor with the Vikings. 3-point game, 39-36. 3:25 remaining in the third quarter. Up top with Walton. 3 on the way from Walker, and Walker ties us up. His third 3, and we're all tied up at 39. Frank Jackson working on Eldridge. Outside Gunther. Drive sent out to Curtis. 4-3 front rim. And a rebound to Doman. Now Jackson splits the defenders. Jump it up. Off the mark. Rebound taken by Johnson. On the push now with Walker. Viewmont looking to take the lead. They have not led in this game. Walker sent out to Smith. 4-3. Off the mark. Rebound taken by Walton. Walton working on Curtis. Up, no, and a rebound taken by Curtis. 2 shots to take the lead and couldn't get either the fall. Doman leaves it for Curtis. Down the lane, send out to Gunther for 3. And Talmadge Gunther hits his second triple. And it's back to a lead for Lone Peak. Johnson fall away, leaves out well short, and then a late whistle will send Johnson to the line. It'll be 2 free throws for Austin Johnson. And Johnson misses the first. Rolls off.
And for the Vikings, number 22, Cole Hewish. And number 30, Josh Richards. And for Lone Peak, number 31, Braxton Rooney.
Johnson missed the first, gets the second. 14 points for Johnson. 42-40 Knights. Off the screen of Bruni. Jackson in the corner, Papula. Up top, Doman. Doman leaves it to Gunther. Papula calling for it on the far side, picked up by Walker. Doman with him. Walker. Jack knock it up and in.
Number 10, Jake Walker.
11 points now for Jake Walker. Tied up at 42. Inside, Gunther terminates. And that ball slapped away by Hewish in the hands of Johnson. Up the floor now with Walker. They'll calmly bring it into the front court. Here's Hewish. Richens for 3. Off the mark, rebound taken by Papula. On the run now with Frank Jackson. Jackson transition 3. That lips out and the rebound taken by Walker. 1 minute remaining in the third quarter. Let's see if Viewmont tries to take this all the way down, or if they'll continue to run sets and get a quick bucket. Walker will pull for 3. Walker knocks down another. The 4-3 for Walker and the first lead for Viewmont. It was a 7-0 run from Christian Papula to start the game, and the Knights have led the entire way. Jackson off the glass and in. What a shot by Jackson. He's now got 13. Up the floor with Walker. He's got 14. Johnson sitting on 14 points, hands back. 15 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Here's Hewish. He backs out with 8 seconds. Walker with 5. Walker to Walton. Walton to the rim, can't finish. Got a little excited, 1 second, and that won't count, even if he hits it. At the end of 3, Viewmont with their first lead of the ball game. We head to the fourth and final frame in the 5A quarterfinals. Viewmont 45, Lone Peak 44. You are watching High School Rewind's coverage of the 2015 5A Boys State Championship Basketball Tournament. You can watch it anytime on Xfinity On Demand or live on live.ksl.com or DeseretNews.com.
Download the UHSAA mobile app for easy access to high school activities information. Available for iPhone and Android. Intense competition requires serious recovery, and chocolate milk has what it takes to help you recover and perform your best. At Les Schwab Tires, they're proud to offer price, value, and selection, backed with quality customer service. When you drive in, they come running. Les Schwab, they want and welcome your business. Possession arrow to Viewmont.
Viewmont with the ball and the lead at the beginning of the fourth quarter. Last year in the quarterfinals, Lone Peak with a double overtime against Bingham. And they're being tested here by Viewmont. The Knights uncharacteristically have dropped 2 of their last 3 games. Lost the last 2 of the regular season to Pleasant Grove and to Riverton. Got the win against Copper Hills in the first round. Nearly a steal by Curtis. Up top with Eldridge. Here's Johnson. Up top, Eldridge. Hewish for 3. Off the front of the iron, a rebound taken by Frank Jackson. Doman for 3, and Tyson Doman, the young sophomore, with his first points of the game, reclaims the lead for Lone Peak. Drop inside to Johnson, and Johnson's fouled on the floor. That's the 14th foul on the Knights.
Charge to number 3, Talmadge Gunther, his fourth Lone Peak team foul.
Got to get it in, and does to Walton. Walton working on the smaller Gunther. Moves toward the middle of the floor and left that one well short. On the push now with Jackson. Jackson in the corner to Doman. Up top, Gunther for 3. Talmadge Gunther buries his 3rd triple. Timeout, Coach Emery, full timeout. 6:34 remaining in the 4th, Lone Peak 50, Viewmont 45. Want to remind you at the conclusion of this game, we will select our Nudge player of the game. You can see our past players of the game by going to www.nudge.com. They click on the blog button and you see our past players of the game for basketball and even football. Going to go that far back. Also to remind you that High School Rewind is always powered by Xfinity Internet. To learn more about Xfinity, the X1 system, or the Xfinity Triple Play, go to www.xfinity.com. Hope you're enjoying High School Rewind's coverage. We teamed up with live.ksl.com and DeseretNews.com to provide commentary and live streaming of the 4A and 5A state tournament. Dusty Lister with you. And we got a good one here. Monday, to be honest, was a little bit of a yawner. We had a lot of blowouts outside of the Hunter game and the Layton Hillcrest game. But here in the second round, we had a tight game as Layton able to put away Bingham. And out here with Viewmont battling out with Lone Peak. We expect an exciting 6:34. We've seen each big player in all these tight games step up and take over. We saw Celius last night scored the last 17 for Bountiful. Out of the timeout, down the floor with the Vikings. Eldridge. Looking inside to Johnson, fronted by Doman. Up top to Walker. Now Walton. Johnson for 3, and Austin Johnson closes the gap to 2. 17 points for Johnson. Down the floor, Jackson in the corner. Gunther rattles out the 3 in the hands of Doman. Doman pirouettes along the key and lays it up and in with his left hand. 4-point lead for the Knights, 52-48. Eldridge. High post to Johnson. Out to Walker for 3. And Walker knocks down the triple. His 5th 3 of the ball game. Jackson off the screen to Curtis. In the corner, Papula. Been quiet in the second half. Papula reverses it up, crawls out. Rebound taken by Curtis. And he's blocked by Walton. Absolutely roofed him. On the run now with Eldridge. Eldridge leaves it to Walker. And Viewmont takes a 53-52 lead. Papula off his hands. And we'll go back to Viewmont. Second lead of the game for Viewmont. Outside, lob in now to Johnson, working on Doman. Tracks that down along the baseline, he stepped out of bounds. And we'll go back to the Knights with 4:51 remaining. We saw last night in the 4A tournament, reigning champion Bountiful pushed to the brink by Murray. We kept expecting Murray to kind of give way to Bountiful, but it was a last-second three by Celius for the win. Papula gets the board, and now a foul down low after the rebound, and the foul will go on Eldridge. And it'll be 1-on-1 free throws for Christian Papula. First free throws of the day for Papula. And hits the first. Solid free throw shooter in the regular season. Tied up at 53 after Papula knocked down the front end and buries them both. 54-53, Lone Peak. Outside with Eldridge, up top Walton. And now we got a foul away from the ball. And that'll go on Curtis. 15 foul on the night. Four minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Walker has 5 threes on the day. Outside Eldridge, up top with Walton. Give it up to Smith. And now again another foul away from the ball. And now it will go on Doman. And that's the 16th foul on Lone Peak. It'll be 1-on-1 free throws the rest of the way.
The 6th Lone Peak team foul.
Jameson Smith, lob into Johnson. Get up Eldridge. Papula now guarding Austin Johnson. Walker for 3, front rim, and rebound taken by Papula. Ahead to Frank Jackson. Lone Peak looking to extend the 1-point lead. Papula leaves it back for Doman for 3. Off the rim. And claimed by Gunther. Jackson, he'll back it up. Jackson working around midcourt stripe. Give it up to Papula. And now cross court to Doman. Lone Peak can eat up some time here. Somewhat uncharacteristic of Coach Lewis. Usually don't see a lot of long possessions from Lone Peak. But with 1-on-1 free throws, he can spread out the floor with all their drivers. Papula takes a lot of contact and no call. And the rebound cleared by Smith. Coach Lewis absolutely beside himself with no foul called on that contact. Off the screen of Walton. And there's a return favor from the no contact on one end. Eldridge bumped and no call. Although one was at the rim, another one 25 feet away from the bucket. Up on the angle now with Eldridge. Give it up to Smith. 2:45 now on the clock. Drop it in to Johnson. Johnson up and under, off the glass and in. Viewmont takes the lead, 55-54. Send to the corner, Doman for 3. Off the mark, rebound taken by Johnson. Viewmont with a chance to extend the lead. Eldridge will walk it into the front court. 2:10 remaining in the fourth. Here's Smith. Smith up top, Eldridge. Coach Lewis wanted to double dribble, didn't get it. And now timeout, Coach Emery. He calls a 30-second timeout with 1:58 remaining in the fourth quarter. Viewmont 55, Lone Peak 54. We've only had 4 lead changes in this game, all of which coming in the fourth quarter. 1:58 remaining in the fourth. I want to remind you to follow us on Twitter at HS Rewind. Also, let anybody you know tweet it out. Let them know about how tight this game is. 1:58 remaining. They can watch it anytime, or they'll watch it live right now on live.ksl.com or through DeseretNews.com. An abbreviated format will be available anytime on Xfinity On Demand on High School Rewind. Viewmont has hung around all day. They were down double digits a couple times, able to battle back and now have the lead. Smith triggers in to Walker. Viewmont looking to extend the 1-point lead. Walker's got 5 threes on the day. Up top, Walton. Eldridge. Hanging on. Frank Jackson hounding him up top. And now near steal by Papula. He looked like he was inside of Smith, but it'll be a foul on Papula. That'll be number 3. It'll be 1-1 free throws to Jameson Smith.
Puts Viewmont into the bonus. At the line for the Vikings, shooting 1-1, number 32, Jameson Smith.
Smith hits the first. .137 remaining in the fourth quarter. Smith hit the first free throw. And the second, 3-point lead. Down the floor, Frank Jackson trailing by 3. Jackson pulls for 3. Off the front of the rim, rebound. And we got a foul on the board as Curtis hit the deck. It'll be 1-on-1 free throws for Nick Curtis. And the foul's on Doman. That is his 4th.
Braden Aldridge of Viewmont, his 4th. The 8th team foul on the Vikings. Shooting 1-1, number 44, Nick Curtis.
So Curtis will go to the line, looking to pull within 1. Front end, a 1-on-1 for Curtis. And he got it. Curtis hit the front end. And hits the second, and now a 1-point game.
Full timeout taken by Lone Peak.
Full timeout taken by Coach Quincy Lewis. We'll take it with him. 1:23 remaining in the fourth quarter. Viewmont 57, Lone Peak 56. .123 remaining. Here's Walker into the front court. Lone Peak on the ropes here in the quarterfinals. Eldridge guarded by Frank Jackson. Gives it off to Walker. Doma goes in and it picks up his 5th foul. And the young sophomore will be done for the day as he picks up number 5. It'll be 1-1 free throws for Walker.
The 8th team foul. Shooting 1-1 is Jake Walker.
And Walker hits the first. Well, that's number 4 now. They had one a little too early on him. So that's number 4 on Doman. As Walker hits them both. 59-56. Lone Peak trying to get to 5 straight state championships. In jeopardy right now, trailing by 3. Jackson, cross-court, Papula for the tie. Christian Papula buries the triple. All tied up at 59, 50 seconds remaining. Eldridge into the front court, 45 seconds now. Papula going to hound Eldridge. Can you imagine? Yes, Coach Emery going to take a timeout with 42 seconds remaining. Full timeout, Viewmont. If you're watching this, let everybody you know, let them know they can watch the live stream on live.ksl.com or through DeseretNews.com. I want to welcome nearly 1,000 of our closest friends. See how high we get this number here in the closing 42 seconds. A year ago, Lone Peak was on the ropes against Bingham. As Yoli Childs dominated that night, Gehrig made the layup to send the game to overtime. Michael Green for Bingham missed a 3 at the end of the first overtime to win for Bingham. And Lone Peak pulled away in the second en route to their 4th consecutive state championship. They were trailing a couple times in this ball game as they've gone back and forth with Viewmont throughout the 4th quarter. Viewmont took the lead 55-54 and has had the lead until now, tied up 59 with 42.2 seconds remaining. They've had 4 lead changes in the 4th quarter. Lone Peak led the entire way till the end of the 3rd. And Lone Peak is held in here, or pardon me, Viewmont has held in here. This is so eerie. This is so much like that Bountiful game last night where Murray got things going, except they led the entire game. But you thought that moment would come when Bountiful would pull away, and it was Celius with 17 straight points in the 4th quarter, including the game-winning 3. 42.2 seconds remaining in the 4th quarter. Smith to trigger in. Got to get it in. And just does to Walker. Doman all over him. Out top with Eldridge. Talmadge Gunther going to pressure him. 1-1 free throws for both teams, 18 fouls apiece. Possession arrow belongs to Lone Peak. Austin Johnson with 30 seconds. Step back, thought he was going to pull for 3. Here's Walker, foul by Doman. Young sophomore got to learn to stay in front of him. Didn't need to go for the steal, and he did. It'll be 1-1 free throws for Eldridge as Doman will go to the bench. This one is number 5. It'll be Walker shooting 1-1. Dylan Heaton will get off the bench and come in for Lone Peak. As the 19th foul on the Knights. Front end a 1-1 for Walker. And it rolls in. Walker has 5 threes, and he's 3 for 3 from the line. Hit the front end. And buries a second 2-point lead to Viewmont. 26 seconds remaining. Up the floor with Frank Jackson and Lone Peak. Their season in 20 seconds. Jackson, drive, floated up, back rim, no. Rebound to Curtis. Hits the deck and gets the bucket. 13 seconds, now rolling down to 10. And Coach Lewis takes a timeout with 11.7 seconds remaining. It'll be Viewmont ball underneath. They've got to go to the full length of the floor with 11 seconds. Full timeout. Coach Lewis will take it with them. Lone Peak 61, Viewmont 61, 11.7 remaining. Viking ball. Want to remind you to follow us on Twitter at HSRewind. We'll be tweeting out our top 5 plays of the day's coverage. We have the top 5 plays from Monday and Tuesday as well. We'll also select our nudge player of the game at the conclusion of this game, whenever that is, if it's in regulation or if it's in overtime.
Let's get loud in the crowd.
1
Viewmont ball, they gotta go the full length of the floor. Richens gets it into Walker. 10 seconds. 7 seconds. Walker calmly across. Frampton goes for the steal. 3 seconds. 2 seconds. Richens for the win. There will not be a run for 5. Richens at the buzzer, and Viewmont has stunned Lone Peak. Josh Richens ends the 4-year reign of the Lone Peak Knights. Viewmont 64, Lone Peak 61. A crazy, crazy game between Lone Peak and Viewmont. Lone Peak led the entire way till late in the third quarter. And Viewmont hung around and kept a lead and kept putting the pressure on Lone Peak. And Richens buries a triple after Nick Curtis had the putback with 11.7 seconds remaining. Coach Lewis took the timeout. Walker with the full length calmly down the floor. And it was Josh Richens burying the triple. Our final score, Viewmont 64, Lone Peak 61. Stay tuned for our post-game wrap-up and our nudge player of the game selection.
The final basket by Viewmont was made by Josh Richens.
And welcome back into the D Event Center. Again, our final score, the Viewmont Vikings 64 and the Lone Peak Knights 61. A stunner in the 5A state tournament. It had been 4 straight state championships for Coach Quincy Lewis and the Lone Peak Knights, and it was a run for 5, and they didn't quite get there as Josh Richens buries a 3 with no time remaining in the fourth quarter to give the Viewmont Vikings the 64-61 win. We mentioned this is the second matchup of this season between Lone Peak and Viewmont. It was a tighter game than that 12-point score in the first game, and Viewmont was not daunted in this game. It seemed at times the Lone Peak was going to pull away up by double digits throughout the first half and even parts of the third quarter, but then Viewmont started chipping away, and it was 3-pointers turned in by our nudge player of the game, Jake Walker. He had 5 threes in this ball game, 21 points, steadying the way for Viewmont. We easily could have gone with Austin Johnson as well, who had an outstanding day, hitting 3 threes and leading the way as well for Coach Emery and the Viewmont Vikings. But it was big threes down the stretch by Walker and free throws as well that clinched this for him. And what can you say? Take a moment to really talk about Lone Peak. Coach Quincy Lewis, we haven't seen runs like this. Coach Drury ended his run, his longtime tenure at Provo yesterday at 32 years and 8 state championships. And since 2004, you have a number of state championships for Coach Lewis in a short run, and he's done an outstanding job. Frank Jackson, Christian Papua, they're coming back next year. You have these seniors on this team for Lone Peak who's never not known making it to the state championship game, and it's got to be heartbreak hotel for them. But I tell you what, you have a lot of talent coming back, an outstanding team, and they'll be back and loaded next season as well, and it gives them something again to shoot for. But 4 straight state championships, that's an outstanding run, and Coach Lewis, get to know one of the classiest men you're going to meet. And Coach Lewis, congratulations on the season and another terrific run. But on the day, it's all about Coach Emery and the Viewmont Vikings. Josh Richens buries the triple, and it's a 64-61 win for the Viewmont Vikings. And our nudge player of the game goes to Jake Walker. With over 500 employees, Nudge is one of the fastest growing companies in Utah Valley. To learn more about Nudge and their community outreach program, go to www.nudge.com. Again, our final score, Viewmont 64, Lone Peak 61. For Vince Francis and Thompson Coles, I am Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us and watching High School Rewind's coverage of the 2015 5A Boys State Championship Basketball Tournament anytime on Xfinity On Demand and live on live.ksl.com and DeseretNews.com.